Today we are going to talk about some properties of numbers. So the first one we're going to talk about is the commutative property. Okay, and over here it says the numbers can commute back and forth. And so essentially what the commutative property means is that when you're multiplying and dividing, the order isn't important. Okay, so for example, if I said 1 plus 2, that's the exact same thing as 2 plus 1. Okay, or if I said, 3 times 4, that's the exact same thing as 4 times 3. Okay, the numbers are commuting, right, back and forth, and it does not matter what the order is. Okay, so when it says over here to write an equivalent expression using a commutative property, so instead of writing it as x plus y, we could write it as y plus x. Instead of writing it as a times b times c, we can just change the order. C times a times b, b times c times a, it really doesn't matter. Okay, and then number 3, 6 plus 10 plus 11, we could call that 10 plus 6 plus 11, 11 plus 10 plus 6, any different order. And then here, p times f is the same as f times p. So this only works though with multiplication and addition, right? If you're subtracting or dividing, the order does matter. Okay, and then for associative, your associates are like who you're hanging out with, who you are grouped together with. And so associative is when it says the numbers can associate with different groups of numbers. Okay, again, this is only for addition and multiplication. But if I said, I want you to do 2 plus 3 plus 4. Okay, that's the exact same thing as adding 2 and then the grouped 3 plus 4. Okay, and it works with multiplication. So 2 times the quantity, 5 times 3, right? That's 15 times 2, which is 30. That's the exact same thing as 2 times 5, which is 10, times 3, which is 30. Okay, so when it says write an equivalent expression using an associative property, x plus y plus z. So the important thing is that when you're using the associative property, you do not change the order because that's commutative, right? So we're only going to change the groupings. So instead of x and y being grouped together, y and z are. Okay, again, I'm not changing the order at all. It's still a times b times c, but now I'm grouping a and b. On number 6, it's still 6 plus 10 plus 11, but I'm going to group together 6 and 10. And on this last one, it's still P, F, Q, but I'm now grouping F and Q together. Okay, and then the identity property is when you want the identity of the number to stay the same. So let's think about it. What can we add to any number to keep it the same? What can you add to any number? Hopefully you're saying 0, right? Any number plus 0 is going to stay the same. And what can you multiply by? Any number times 1, the number is going to stay the same. Okay, and then the very last property that we're going to talk about is the 0 property of multiplication. And that is where any number times 0 equals 0. So let's just look at this true or false question really quick. It says negative 5 times the quantity 11 minus 4 is the same as the quantity 5 times 15. So let's look at it. This is negative 5 times 7, which is negative 35. Okay, and I'm trying to figure out, is that the same as 5 times 15? No, 5 times 15 is 75. So that is false. Okay, let's turn our paper over. This is another true or false. Is 9 times negative 2 the exact same thing as 2 times negative 9? This is negative 18 equals negative 18. So this is true. Okay, what about 52 plus negative 20? Does that equal 20 plus negative 52? Did you even see what I was writing before? I'm sorry. So negative 18 equals negative 18, it's true. There we go. So on this one, 52 plus negative 20, the difference is 32, and it's positive. Here, the difference is 32, but the bigger number is negative. So this is false. And then the last property that we're going to talk about is the distributive property. And the distributive property is where you have a number outside a quantity being multiplied to the entire quantity inside the parentheses. So for example, I have 5x plus 4s. Okay, so I'm going to write it out kind of long ways. It's like saying, well, here's an x plus 4, an x plus 4, an x plus 4, an x plus 4, and another x plus 4. So how many x's do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And how many 4s? 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. So I could simplify it to 5x plus 20, but look at how much easier it is over here. 5 times x is 5x plus 5 times 4 is 20. So this whole number got multiplied to everything inside. Okay, and then what we're going to do down here, okay, we're going to distribute a negative 3, but before we can do it, okay, I want you to do keep, change, change, okay, because otherwise the symbols are going to get confusing. So let's look at this one together. So now negative 3 times b is negative 3b plus negative times negative is what? Positive 12. Okay, so the reason that I had you change the signs is because if we hadn't changed it, you would have ended up with negative 3b minus negative 12, and that's just a little redundant, and we'd have to realize like, oh, that's plus positive, which is the same. Okay, so I think it's easier just to change the sign on subtraction if you have a negative outside. Okay, so let's look at this one. Number 12, 5 times y is 5y plus 5 times 7 is 35. And then we're done. Negative 8 times b is negative 8b, and then plus negative 8 times 3 is negative 24. Okay, I put that in parentheses just because it looks weird if I didn't and I wrote like negative 8b plus negative 24. It looks like plus minus. Okay, so whenever you have a negative like that, I just like to put it in parentheses because it makes it easier to read. Okay, another way to write it would be negative 8b minus 24, because adding a negative and subtracting a positive mean the exact same thing. Okay, on number 14, negative 5 times w is negative 5w. And then let's do our keep, change, change. Whoa. Okay, inside, so plus negative 5 times negative 10 is positive 50, because a negative times a negative is a positive. And then number 15, 2 times x is 2x minus 2 times 3 is 6. Okay, now I did not keep, change, change that one, and I didn't because this was a positive number, right? So I know it's just going to end up being a positive. If you had done keep, change, change, which would have been fine, you would have got 2x plus negative 6, which means the exact same thing.